Hey, what's up everybody? It's Lids, and we're back for some more Thronebreaker, and oh boy, things are picking up. It feels like just yesterday I was saying to myself, man, that Manticore fight was a lot of fun. I feel like that was maybe the best part of the game thus far. And, well, then, just a little while later, turned out that, there was this whole attempt at, overthrowing us as ruler, and, sure, I kinda could see the whole Caldwell betrayal thing coming, but the fact that he was able to loop our own son into that plan and have him betray us and kick us out of our own kingdom, now that was a little more than I saw coming. So a whole lot has changed in just the past few minutes, really. But let's see. Let's take a look here, because we just started to peek at some of the updates around our camp, but there are still a few things we've not yet checked out. Let's take a look at our royal tent, because this tends to be sort of our hub of the biggest things, the overarching stuffs that we're trying to do, and now that we are suddenly in Aedirn and kinda, sorta, on the run, that has pretty fundamentally changed. So let's take a look. Report situation in Aedirn. With Lyria and Rivia taken, full strength of Army Group East redirected against Aedirn. That being the Nilfgaardians. Okay, that is unfortunate that not only has our kingdom been taken, but now they're looking to take down what we're going to be, and hopefully still will be, our best allies. Fierce Aedirnian resistance, but border posts fell. King Demavend pulling back from small garrisons and concentrating forces in heavily defended fortresses. Okay. Rosberg, that's, I believe, where we're supposed to head next. Aldersburg, recognize that name. Vangerberg, I also recognize that name. Significant increase in Scoia'tael activity. That is, of course, at least the type of group that we just ran into was some kind of Scoia'tael. I suppose, I don't know if ambush is necessarily the right word, because, they were attacking Black Rayla, not necessarily us initially, then we kind of, spoiled their party. But attacks on merchants, refugees, but not Nilfgaardian convoys. Yeah, there was word that perhaps the Scoia'tael are supporting Nilfgaard, which is very strange, because at least in The Witcher, 1, 2, and to a certain extent 3, although for the most part, not as much of a factor there, Scoia'tael seem like they're typically sort of, not directly I was going to say not taking too much direct action in the political affairs of the Northern Realms and Nilfgaard. Basically no involvement with Nilfgaard, but the Northern Realms, no, that's maybe not a fair statement. I will not dive into any further detail to avoid spoilers, but let's just say, yeah, okay, on second thought, fair enough. Maybe the Scoia'tael have in fact intervened a little more than I was giving them credit for. But let's see, what else do we have here? Appeal to folk of Lyria and Rivia. Pamphlet distributed in Lyria and Rivia. Queen Meve cares not a whit for your interests. Excuse me. Yeah, the nerve, of course, of Caldwell turning on us like that. Like I said, I could kind of tell once he left us that he was gonna, probably not ever come back to us, but the fact that he was actually able to successfully pull off the type of power siege that he did was, was kind of impressive, but at the same time also extremely disloyal. Even more so than I thought he might do. Let's see. So, instead of seeking peace with the Nilfgaardian Empire, is there such a thing? She has chosen pointless resistance, sentencing you all to annihilation. To save their subjects from this fate, the Council of Peers decided to remove the Mad Queen from her throne. In her cruel lunacy, she defied our ruling, spat upon our laws. She has fled to the country in cowardice and seeks now to sow havoc. The rightful monarch is Meve's eldest son, Willem. He shall be advised in this difficult time by Count Caldwell, of course. And I think we all know that Count Caldwell will be the one who's really the one calling all the shots. Especially given Willem's, inability to rule. It seems though everyone is in agreement on that. Everyone besides Willem. The meadows of Lyria and Rivia shall blossom under the light of the golden sun. Oh, pains me to read that. Long live the Emperor. Seriously? This guy clearly was very eager to join the Nilfgaardians, it seems. No hesitation. Suddenly, as soon as Meve's out, all out support for Nilfgaard. Let's see, then we also have letter from Captain Tobias. Looks like we might get multiple of these because this one's numbered 1. Your Majesty, though we spoke to each other not long ago, I've no doubt you do not recall my name. I'm the guard who stopped you as you fled Lyria. Guard who doubted you. Is this the one, not like right before we had that conversation with Caldwell and Willem, but the one after we got banished as we were escaping through the sewers with Reynard and Gascon? I think it's that guy, the latter. Your Highness, once more I apologize for my cowardice, and thank you for giving me a chance to repair my error. I cannot save Lyria from the Nilfgaardians' talons, but I can write you about their secrets. Oh, okay, we have an inside guy, a mole. I've won myself a post at the palace, well done. I shall keep my ears open, and if I learn anything, I shall inform you at once. Gods grant you luck, my lady. We await your return. Captain Tobias. Alright, so this guy may have already become our best ally, at least other people still in Lyria. So, okay, hopefully we'll hear more from him soon in that case. Or maybe not hopefully if it is bad news, but we'll see, let's see. We have an update here in the mess tent as well. It's, both Gascon we can chat with, as well as Black Rayla. So let's, and Reynard has new stuff to talk to us about as well. Okay, so lots of things for us to talk about.
Yes, Your Grace.
Start with Reynard. Of course, we've spent the most time with him out of this trio, and I mean, compare him to Caldwell, and of course, shows us their true colors, and Reynard is the one who truly is the honorable companion. So, I mean, yeah, we have certainly fallen from grace very quickly, very suddenly, and very significantly.
How has it come to this? I, Queen Meve of Lyria and Rivia, must prowl about the underbrush like a common bandit.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully we can bounce back quickly, but we'll see.
And you, General Reynard Odo, once proud commander of 4 elite regiments of footmen, now lead a gang of deserters, bandits, and scythe-wielding peasants.
Is he really our general? I'm not sure I realized that was his title. So is he technically the #1 guy leading our forces? I don't know, I guess I always assumed he was something a little bit lower than that. But he has, I think he said he's been working for us for a very long time, so I suppose it makes sense.
I do so proudly, Your Grace.
You must be joking, Reynard.
I mean, still believe in us?
Your Majesty, under your husband I served 10 years, under you another 8, and never in that time did I fight for a more worthy cause.
Yeah, 18 years. That's a long time. I feel like we've heard that from him before, though.
We seek not to grab land, or stifle a peasant revolt. We fight for all the North, for our freedom, that of others.
Yeah, I mean, that's the objective in fighting off those Nilfgaardians. Though, I mean, obviously Caldwell thinks that he can side with them, but, we'll see how long that pact really lasts.
And you alone didn't give up. Didn't even consider bending the knee before Nilfgaard.
Absolutely
Yes,
not.
all true. Yet look where it's brought me.
We'll be back at it. We'll get him.
Your struggle has but begun, Your Grace, and I will do all in my power to see you triumph in the end.
That's it, Reynard. A true bro. Absolutely. Let's see. I mean, yeah. It'd be nice if we could have, identified that Caldwell was going to cause some problems a little bit earlier on. I mean, the fact that he was apparently behind organizing the whole Straits of Spala uprising, resistance, whatever you want to, call them, the revolts, maybe those are, the general chaos that they were causing, and that was his way that he was going to drive Meve out and create an avenue for Willem to take her place. I mean, I think I said it before, but that just feels like so many things had to go a very specific way for that to work, that it feels like, I don't know, that kind of breaks suspension of disbelief for me a little bit.
I cannot forgive myself one thing, that I failed to see through Caldwell's schemes. He must have plotted treason for months, years even, yet I suspected nothing.
Yeah, I mean, presumably it took him a while to come up with that elaborate plan, right?
Don't be too hard on yourself, Your Grace.
Easily said. Ugh, if I'd only realized it in time.
Nilfgaard
Yeah.
would have found a different traitor, or sent an assassin north.
I mean, I suppose so.
It was unavoidable what happened. The Blackclads would have attacked in any case, and we'd have stood no chance to defeat their foe in open battle, repel him, drive him out.
You may be right, Reynard. You may be
So,
right.
Had you been there when the peers assembled, you also would have voted to bend the knee?
Oh, interesting question, Meve. Now we're asking the real questions, right?
No. My honor would never have allowed it. I'd have thrown myself into the fire, and probably died a fool for it. As matters stand, I still have a chance to thwart the invader, his intentions.
And exactly, this is what makes Reynard different from, really, everyone else we encountered. He has the honor, he has the loyalty where no one else did.
It seems, in a twisted turn of fate, I should be grateful to Caldwell.
Huh? It's kind of a weird way of putting it, but sure, just finding a way to, find that silver lining, I suppose.
It's time I attended to other matters.
Alright, so that was Reynard. Let's see, we have Gascon, we have Rayla. Let's go with basically in order in which we found all these people. Of course, Reynard being our oldest friend, but oh, he's playing cards with Gascon, that's cool.
So, Gascon, the soldier's life. Does it suit you?
Yeah, this is maybe a little bit different from what Gascon's used to. A little bit more structured.
About the same as the bandit's life did.
Okay, doesn't really answer the
I
question.
beg your pardon.
The tents are cold, the food's shite. On the plus side, plenty to drink most days.
Suppose there's that.
A skirmish here, a scuffle there. Nilfgaardians one day, elves the next, and whoever we rout, we rob of what they've got.
Yeah, I suppose there aren't too many differences between those two groups, when you put it that way.
Requisition, you mean? Fully in accordance with the laws of war.
Of course. When it's soldiers doing it, it's requisition, not looting.
Oh, please. Save your excuses for your father confessor.
Alright, let's see. So, can I ask him about why he became known as the Duke of Dogs? Sure.
The Duke of Dogs. Whence the name?
Not certain I should tell you. It's a personal story, somewhat.
Oh?
I insist.
Really? I do.
So, thing is, I'm a werewolf of sorts.
What? Like, you're actually a werewolf, or are we talking metaphorically speaking?
Did I hear werewolf?
Of sorts. You see, when the full moon glows in the night sky, I transform into a creature that's half man, half dachshund.
Like, the dog? Like, the wiener dog. Can't tell if this guy's being serious or not.
And then all the other hounds of the night hearken to my command. Howl!
I don't think he's being serious? Question mark?
Oh, forget I asked.
Yup, okay. Just making sure.
With pleasure.
Alright, you got me. Let's see. How did your men break into the Lyria prison to initially break you out, and then, of course, after having broken him out, and Meve as well?
I can't stop wondering. How did your strays break into the tower in Lyria?
They exploited its chief weakness.
Which was?
What weakness is that? I oversaw its construction myself. Walls 5 feet thick, bars and grates of the sturdiest iron.
It's not going to be something that we want to hear, I'm sure.
All tremendous, I'm sure. But how much do you pay the guards?
Yep, something like that.
What? I don't know. The garrison's commander is in charge of that.
Yep, and just a matter of paying the guards more than they are getting paid from that garrison commander, and mission accomplished.
Let me tell you then. Not much, Meve. Not much at all.
Yeah.
From atop a throne, it's hard to spot the little things. Example, a guard hard up for coin, or one with ambitions. But seeing that's second nature to even the most ordinary bandit. Take any castle door. To open it, to open all, one needs but a pouch of gold.
Yep, just bribe people more than they're getting paid by their actual employers, and suddenly they're paying a lot of attention to the bandits, and not in the let's stop them from getting in way, and more so the opposite way. Let's see. I think that's just about everything with Gascon, though,
It's time
based
I
on
attended to
that
all
stuff
the
there.
matters.
Grayed out.
Farewell.
Alright, so a little bit more on Gascon. Let's see what Rayla has to say, because of course, we only just met her.
How fare you, Rayla? The quartermaster, did he assign you a tent?
He tried.
Oh? Sounds like he was not successful in doing so.
Oh, and
I refused it. Best to sleep beneath the stars. Little chance of a foe catching you off guard.
Yeah, that's kind of intense.
Rain accepted, perhaps.
She's like, no. Better with rain.
I'm not made of sugar, ma'am. I'm not gonna melt.
Yup. Okay. Let's see. So, the Special Forces of Aedirn, which I think she was saying she commands, how did you come to join them?
One sees very few women in the ranks, let alone in the special forces. How did you come to join?
On merit. Proved I'd be of use.
That's, it's very vague.
Yes, well, naturally. But
Right.
how exactly?
I was 15 when I went to enlist. But the sergeant in charge of signing folk up told me to scurry on home.
And then you beat them up, and they're like, you know what? Maybe we could use someone like you.
So I proposed a wager. Arm wrestling. If I won, he'd let me join. If I lost, I'd pay him 100 crowns.
Almost the same thing. Also, 100 crowns is, I would think, fair amount for just, I mean, maybe commoner isn't the right term, but, I mean, it's not like it's going from nobility, I don't think.
And that kind of coin? You had it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No, so I had to win.
Exactly.
As we sat down at the table, across from each other, he laughed and rolled up his sleeve. When it was over, all around us were laughing at him.
Alright, well done.
Then I just followed orders. Did so well enough to draw the king's attention.
Okay. And that looks like all from Rayla at the moment. I'm sure we'll hear more from her later on, whether it be in the tent here or out on the road.
I must
She
go.
is in many ways our
We'll
guide.
speak later.
Alright. And I don't think we can speak with this random person back there or this guy over here. So let's head out, because I think that's everything here, unless we wanted to actually invest in some of those upgrades we were talking about previously, because there are some big and pretty juicy looking ones that we just got available to us, like reducing cost of additional units. I think we can probably wait a little bit for this one, at least until right before we actually start creating the units, which probably going to look to do pretty soon, but is not immediately desperately urgent. Whereas something like increasing the amount of gold that we earn every battle, or the number of recruits we get after every battle, that feels more significant to do right away, because, of course, if we don't do it immediately, that means we're missing out on an additional, 100-ish gold, or in this case, additional recruit. And the longer we go with that being the case, of course, the more that starts to add up. And that can be the difference between being able to afford some of this other stuff and not being able to afford some of this other stuff. So that's probably the thing that is highest on my priority list, just in terms of immediate concerns. We can afford both of them. It would make us pretty darn broke, at least from a gold standpoint. We would have 348 left, and we would have a little bit more wood remaining. Let's see, what was this one? I think so we have more options to create units at our tents, and similar here, I'm thinking, like we were talking about before, I think when it comes to specifically making it so that units that we create are stronger or less expensive, we might be able to wait a little bit on that and just see, I'm assuming difficulty is perhaps higher now that we're over in Aedirn. so we probably will need to make some upgrades soon, but I'm hoping not right off the bat. So let's go with both these here. And as I said, we are spending a whole lot of resources here. So we're hoping that we don't run into anything super big, super important right off the bat that requires that we have a bunch of resources on hand. Otherwise, we might not have enough to do the trick. So we're hoping for maybe just, you know, a little bit more of the random loot along the way, or low priority puzzles or battles to help us out. But let's take a look at our map as well, because I don't think we've looked at all yet at Aedirn. And let's see, in terms of overall size of the map, whoa, it goes quite a bit further north. This might be bigger than Lyria was, to tell you the truth. First, I was just looking left to right, you know, west to east, and thinking, oh, that might be smaller if we're just, you know, only looking at this pathway here. But no, if we're looking north to south as well, I think this is a much taller map than we had previously. And yeah, I'm zooming way out as well. So like, this main quest is certainly not at the end, it doesn't seem. So we got a lot of ground to cover in that case. A lot of stuff to do here. So let's get on the road. And is it just me, or does it look like Meve's hair got significantly more blonde since we got over here to Aedirn? Is that... second thought that was going to be lootable wood, but I suppose when we're in the woods like this, it might be a little bit harder to distinguish. Let's see, like that. They're going to be... Is loot going to look a little bit different now? It may. Of course, whenever we get that hand popped up, that certainly helps. Makes it a little more obvious. And yeah, we could use any and all of those types of opportunities, because we are now that broke. Let's see, no longer all misty. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Feel like we're about to get ambushed by something. Definitely.
Gods. The entire country up in flames.
Make that the Nilfgaardians.
Warned punishment awaited Aedirn, that he would show the land no mercy.
What in God's names did you do to him, Rayla?
Nilfgaard offered us an alliance against the rest of the north, but Demavend declined in his
Oh.
clipped soldier's speech. They say Ebdahi flew into a rage and swore he'd reduce Aedirn to rubble.
Okay. So, well, I mean, there's a similar situation to us in that we are, well, I mean, at least Caldwell and Willem obviously wanted to side with Nilfgaard. We said no, much like Demavend did, so definitely some similarities there. That's, I don't think, lootable. But yeah, you can start to see all the wreckage there. Looks like fields, you know, all up in flames. Agricultural system. Food supplies, perhaps significantly worse off than they would have been in other situations. A little bit more loot here. We do have our first of the fast travel spots. So, I mean, we can get back here if needed, though I'm not really sure there is anything over here we'd want to get back to, other than that there's a branching pathway. Let's take a quick look at our map and see if there's any sense as to which way we might prefer to go. Looks like the northern route might be more of a quick little dead end, in which case that might be better to go first over there, and then this looks more like, you know, the place that's going to eventually lead us further toward our actual main quest objective. Let's go up here. Initially, at least, I think. See what this is all about. Oh, well, those look like Neckers, if I had to guess. We can see, oh, looks like recruits in town down there to potentially get some additional support. Now, this is a battle, mind you, not a puzzle. And that's a little bit concerning, because that means that we will be relying on our own deck rather than a specific deck that is given to us by the challenge. And given how our deck has been changed a bit post, I don't know, is revolution the right word? This will be our first real test, I think. I mean, yeah, we had the initial encounter from the story mission, but I think, you know, that's a little bit different, because, of course, they're not going to set you up in a way that you're guaranteed to lose in that. Whereas this one, we could be in trouble if we're not prepared. Let's see. Not a living soul. A modest hamlet was located just to the north of Wayfarer's Beach. Is that the Crossroads was at the town that we opted not to go to first. As Meve's army approached, it became clear, even from afar, that the village had not been spared the carnage of war. Its dwellings appeared smashed and burned, and a rancid, smoking stench lingered in the air. Yet, what of the villagers' fate? Alas, they were strewn on the earth at the center of the settlement, their bodies mutilated by the gnashing maws of carrion eaters. And the beasts had not yet strayed from their gory bounty. Okay, so it's a standard battle. We have not seen very many of these. I couldn't even tell you when the last time we had a standard battle was. Was the Manticore technically a standard battle? I don't know. I mean, that was obviously a boss fight, but, okay. Here goes nothing. So, as a reminder, I think that means we're gonna have a full 2 to 3 rounds here, and we just need to outscore our opponent. Let's see, can we see anything about their ability? Bloodthirsty Alghoul. Order consume the top unit in your graveyard and spawn a base copy of it? Cooldown 3. Wow, okay. So that would suggest we might want to deliberately avoid damaging them, which is not often we've said that. But if we are to destroy some of their cards, then they're gonna consume. So, well, I mean, usually it's a unit that's consuming, which means it'll absorb the power. Not sure how that works when it's your leader doing the consuming. But then spawning a base copy of it, meaning you're getting another copy of it out here. So my guess is that you may have some units that consume built into your deck already, so, I mean, you might be able to do that by yourself without us avoiding, or without us doing the damage and destroying units for you. So, in that case, maybe holding back on damage may not be that big of a problem. Let's see, we are still, of course, relatively new to these Strays of Spala type cards. So the Slingers move 3 cards, the other row, if any were units, damage them by 2, turn allies to the battlefield, or from the battlefield to hand. Might be Gascon, strength itself whenever an enemy or allied card is moved. Okay, so we want to combine Gascon with things like the Slingers, and definitely, primarily the Slingers. Infiltrator, I think, can work as well. We start playing it on their side. Let's see, after 2 turns, yeah, boost unit to the by the power of the unit to the right. So we want to put you next to something really big. So that's possible. We maybe want to only have 1 or 2 of you, and we can try to time this, so we're putting you next to a really strong unit. And so the Cavalry would be the card that I'm not as certain about, because it's just basically pure damage, which, as I was saying, might not be the best idea. That and the Lyrian Scytheman would be the other route, just fully prioritizing boosting ourselves rather than damaging our opponent. Although, in terms of just the raw net points, probably on the lower end. Let's see if we combine that with our leader ability. I don't know. We'll see. It's all going to be pretty new to us. Do we have order abilities? Because I feel like we experienced this once before, already perhaps, where after our deck pretty dramatically changed, it was a very order-centric deck. Now it seems like it very much is not, and that means that Reynard has perhaps gone from one of our best cards to maybe not one of our worst, but he's basically just a 10-point body, 11-point in this case because he's got the high morale. But I mean, that's the same as a Scytheman after 1 round of leader ability, which is that may mean it's worth getting rid of him here. Feels weird, but I think so. Setting unit's power equal to the unit on its left. Little gimmicky. Not sure we want to go that route here. Remember, we will also be using from this pool our mulligans when we go into round 2 and round 3, so we don't want to redraw everything here. So I think we leave it at this. Let's see, it's a Necker first. We will damage every unit that they play as soon as they play it with our Manticore trophy, so I do like that. Let's see, so every turn on turn start, summon a Necker on this row from your deck. So this is an interesting question. Is it worth destroying it so that it can't summon cards from their deck? Because, sure, that means you're not summoning cards from your deck, but then you put in the graveyard, and then they can use their leader ability and consume it and spawn a copy of it, and then, you know, it poses the same threat it posed before. So, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. I think we may we may just want to avoid it for now. And damage by 4, that would get you down to 1 power. So what if we go... I'm thinking Scytheman first, leader ability, and we'll damage you but not destroy you. We'll get a sizable boost on the Scytheman. I think that's a good way to start.
This harvest will be reaping black-clad heads.
Okay. Go for that. They will summon the other one out. Then they have a Necker Warrior, which is different. Choose a bronze ally on the battlefield or in hand and spawn 3 copies of it in your deck. Okay, so they're gonna basically just flood both rows with these Neckers. And we'd love if we had any of the cards that could create the fire on a row to deal a bunch of damage to all the cards in a row, because that's a good way to punish them for going quote-unquote wide, meaning when they have a lot of weak units, which is definitely what it looks like they're going to do. So there's that. Stray Slinger can also give us a little bit of that same type of thing, where we can at least damage 3 cards, although at this point I think I still want to avoid destroying this Necker. I think we want to damage them and basically get them down to 1 power, so they're as weak as possible, while still not allowing them to consume those units. What I'm wondering is, with a 14 power Necker Warrior, is that worth, where'd you go, playing the Stray's Infiltrator next to you? 2 turns, boost self by the power, boost self by the power of the unit to the right, so it's not just taking on the power, it's getting plus 14 if we are to play you next to that guy, so you become an 18, then move back to our side. That feels like that might be worth doing. Let's go for that.
We got a job to do.
Of course, I have no idea if they're going to get stronger units out there in the future. They very well may. Get more of these Neckers. As I said, they're definitely going to be getting a whole bunch of those. And they do have more Necker Warriors. So what I think is going to... Our strategy for success might be that we basically try to get them to flood their row with a bunch of weak units, so much so that they don't have room for any big units. They're basically wasting space on these guys. That might be the best way to do it. Also, we have Lyrian Horn, I think, will be very effective. That's a good example of another quote-unquote wide punish that could be very effective against them. So, let's see. Now that they have 3 units out there that we could, at least 3 units out there that we could move without actually destroying them, I'm thinking it might be worth doing that with something like a Stray's Slinger. That'll, of course, help power up Gascon. Let's see, otherwise, Stray's Cavalry, we would like to play you on the early side, is one thing to bear in mind. The earlier we play you, the more damage you will eventually start to cause. And it might be worth doing that on a Necker Warrior. Do we get to pick the target? Yeah, we do, at least initially. So, I think we do that. I think we do that. Remind me what our actual ability is here, or just move it to the other row. Okay. So, of course, they have way more points than us. Short term. Does raise some concerns. Okay. So, we do get the Infiltrator back, which does help. They've passed, notably. So they have 7 cards. We also have 7. So, oh man. Crucial detail that I already forget, because I have been playing more Gwent multiplayer than I have Thronebreaker as of late, or at least in total. Do we draw 3 cards in between rounds? That's what you do in Gwent multiplayer. That's kind of important to know. I should remember this. Because if that is the case, then we actually can play a few more cards than our opponent, and it's not a terrible thing if we are willing to deliberately dry pass, meaning play 0 cards in round 2, and basically just force our opponent to play 1 card to take the round 2 win, and then we're playing for the round 3 to win the whole match. So, and we're relying on the card drawing between rounds to get us back up to our full-size hand. But if we can't draw cards in between rounds, then of course that doesn't work. So, I think we do. That is, of course, it's gonna be a a catastrophic mistake if we don't, but, well, the other thing to bear in mind is they have, in fact, flooded this row. They 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just 8? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 units in this melee row. At least in Gwent multiplayer, the maximum in a row is 9. So that means they could summon one more Necker here, but once they do, they're not going to have any room to summon anymore, obviously. And that is also going to make movements quite a bit more difficult, because we can't move any of the Necker warriors into this melee row. And we probably don't want to move any of the basic Neckers into the range row, otherwise they're going to start summoning Neckers in that row too. So I think we actually deliberately avoid movement here. But do we have enough points to still win this without using any of our movement cards? Because a lot of our cards are movement cards. I mean, if we use Lyria and Horn, absolutely yes, but I'd kind of like to save this, because this is going to be, I think, one of our best assets here. So, like, just a little bit of points, like, say, Scytheman, if we were about to use our leader ability, I'd say it'd be a good pick. Or, and I wish we had a good target for the Alchemist. Unit on its left, I mean, we could do it on this Necker. Still not worth very many points, but it might be good enough. I mean, otherwise, let's see, if we do this, this will be, what, 9 points if we use it here. Then playing you and getting another leader ability on our next turn means you'll be 11 points. You'll get another 5. So that's what, 20, 25, which is, still not quite enough. And you're going to get, I think, one more Necker out here. You're going to take a little bit of damage from this, this mark here. It's going to be really close. I think we're going to need to play one more turn. And then, what do we go for then? I'm not 100% sure. Oh, well, actually, our leader ability will deal damage in the process, of course. And we can do that on the Neckers, which is amazing in this case, because they're all 5 power. Besides this one that we're probably about to damage. So, in which case, does that even matter if we hit that there? Hold on. I mean, we can. I guess it's only gonna... It's not gonna really be a factor. I'm surprised you went to that space, but okay, sure. So now we go Scytheman, and of course we are absolutely banking on us being able to draw cards in between rounds. If not, then this is just, you know, a recipe for disaster here. Because it means this card would be the last card we are willing to play on this turn. Could even use Decoy to get one of these cards back in our hand if we felt like we had one that was really important. Though, not necessarily sure we do. So I think we're looking at... I mean, we don't want to play Gascon. I don't think. I mean, again, we're talking about limiting the movement pretty significantly. But, we go... Are we willing to sacrifice a slinger? Or, sacrifice maybe not the right word. Are we willing to play it when we know it's going to mean they get more Neckers out here? I think it may still be that our leader ability has enough power to it that that's not going to matter too much. In fact, why don't we do leader ability now? And that's why I was confident that we could still get the job done. So if we do that, that's good. But then, in Gwent multiplayer, usually if you use your leader ability, you need to play a card on your turn. Yeah, it's not going to let us pass here. So we have enough margin for Eric here that we can still move some of these Neckers out into this range row and they summon more. I don't think we can. I think that's probably going to backfire if we do that. If we go Decoy here, though, on really any of these units other than these guys in our melee row, it should still be fine. Let's get rid of the Alchemist, I suppose. And now we should be good. Okay, so we've won round 1. Huge question. Do we draw cards here? If not, we've lost. If we do, then we should be fine. We do. Thank goodness. Oh, okay. Okay. Thank goodness. So, that means, I believe, they're going to have 10, we're going to have 7 for this round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So they're at the maximum. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, actually 8. Oh, right, because we use decoy. Which means that if we play 0, or even we could play 1 card here in round 2, we'll still draw back up to our maximum of 10 for round 3. So, that was the key thing we were relying on in round 1. So, let's see. Now knowing that movement is maybe not the best, we might want to deliberately avoid having all these stray slingers. And the infiltrator works pretty well for us. I do like that. Our leader ability was also just huge. So I'm thinking, get rid of you as well. Cavalry, I mean, in a long round, maybe. Maybe Alchemist too. Said row on fire. Okay, that helps. What was the... One of the cards has a stronger effect when you have already set it up with the fire, but I don't think we have it here. It's not that. It's not that. Definitely not you. Okay. I'm gonna try getting rid of this slinger as well. Okay. So we can basically throw away 1 card here if we really want to. You know, if we have a card that we don't like at all, we can basically play it and make sure that we get rid of it, so it's not a factor in round 3. That way we're only playing the cards we think are the best for round 3. So, like, do we want 2 Strays Cavalries? Obviously, we're not going to have a unit to mark, so it's going to be quite useless, just a 6-power body, which is not saying much. But, that might be worth doing here. I think this might be our worst card. Either that or an Alchemist, to tell you the truth. Maybe it is the Alchemist. Let's go for this.
If anyone asks, you've not seen me.
Okay. So I'm curious to see if they do the same thing here. And it looks like they are. So now what we do is we pass. So rather than trying to win round 2 when they have more cards than us, in which case we have a distinct disadvantage, we might as well wait for round 3 when we have all of our cards back. Also gives us more time to get our leader ability back. They will, of course, continue to get more of these neckers out here, but they're going to keep it short. They know they've already won round 2. That's fine. The other thing it does is it makes sure that we have last say in round 3, which can be significant. Yeah, they would have drawn additional cards, but they actually discard them because their hand is already full. Okay, this is new. Alpha Wolf. For every wolf in your hand, boost self by 1, then damage random enemy by 2. Repeat this ability whenever a wolf ally appears. Okay. Was not expecting that. Was expecting just a whole bunch more neckers. Let's see. But that may mean that things like movement are suddenly more viable options. We could also certainly mark you, and that is definitely something we want to do early. So let's do that here, and then I think on our next turn, we'll want to get our Scytheman down there, because that is our only loyal unit. And so, therefore, we want to have it down before we use our leader ability on our next turn. Right, they're consuming. And there is another of those wolves. I'm not a fan of that. We could, of course... I think we have another way to mark, don't we? We do. But I think before we do that, we should try to go with the Scytheman here. Really wish these guys had the same amount of power. They're 1 off. Don't think there's any way we can change that before activating the ability. Anyone who can poke you for 1 damage first? Like this, the timing of this is not correct. So we would still use our leader ability, and only afterward would that damage kick in, I think. So, not great in that sense. I think the other thing would be, where were you? Oh, we're definitely saving that. Yeah, let's go with the Scytheman. Oh, I was gonna say, let's deliberately, I think, try to keep this werewolf. Oh no, well, this one is marked. I was gonna say we try to keep one of them relatively strong so that that becomes a target for the Stray's Infiltrator. But assuming they continue to play these, then we can just do it to whichever wolf comes next. So in that case, sure, we'll hit you. Alright, they're gonna continue to get more Neckers. And that time, only 9 power. Oh, because they have fewer cards, fewer wolves in their hand, right? For every wolf in your hand, boosts up by 1. Yes, we can actually, let's see. They're 7 power base. And it came down here as a 9, which means they have 2 more in their hand. So that is good to know. Let's see. Let's put, where's the infiltrator? Put you there, it's to the right. You're boosting? Yeah. Boost up by the power unit to the right, so put you there.
Shh, cork it.
This actually, playing it in the melee row also means we're gonna make it a little bit harder for them to get all those Neckers. What is their deal with the damage a random enemy by 2? Repeat this ability whenever a wolf ally appears. Oh, it's that initially it was just 2 damage, but now for every subsequent wolf, it adds up. So now it's 2, 4, 6, 8 damage. Okay. So that has become a bit of an issue, but in theory they only have 1 more wolf remaining. So that's at least a little comforting. And now I think what we want to do is we want to get another one of these guys marked as soon as possible. Ideally, we could actually... Not sure if this timing is going to work properly, but if we could line up... Oh, that might have been... No, we don't want to damage you, but I was going to say, if we can line up some of these alpha wolves that have the same amount of power to set up a more effective leader ability, that'd be fantastic, of course. And it's probably going to be their last wolf that they play on this turn. Then we'll get our straight infiltrator back. Yeah, this one does not get boosted at all. So now they're out of those wolves. So now are they going to go back to, what was it, the Necker Warriors? Maybe? I think what we want to do here is why don't we use a Stray Slinger to, well... Can we try to move 3 units to the melee row even if they aren't all going to fit? Or do we need to move a Necker to the range row? Because if so, then we're in trouble. I mean, they're running out of cards in their deck. So, like, it might actually be not a bad thing if we are quite literally flooding them with weak units so much that they can't play anything anymore. So maybe that's not a terrible idea. Maybe that could still work. Let's try it. So we play you. I think ideally we'd move you. And then it looks like we can try to move these guys even if they don't actually have room to be moved. So I think that worked fairly well in that case, because that means, again, no more room for Neckers. Now they're back to the Necker Warrior. Oh, but yeah, they're going to spawn a whole bunch more. Except it doesn't matter if they don't have room for them, I suppose. So that's not bad in that case. We can kind of, sort of, move 3 more cards, although it seems like it doesn't actually move them when it's full, of course, but it does still apply the damage, which is generous. I was not really expecting that to happen, so that's nice. Again, if we could line up some of the units so that they are on the same amount of power, that'd be great. Let's see, how much damage is it? It's any more units damage them by 2. You're gonna go down to a 7. You're gonna go down to a 6. I think it's... I mean, there is this 6 as well, but then we have 1 more turn, so what, we could get them... We could get you two both at 6. We get anyone else at 6. If we damage you, you'd be down to a 5. Is actually not terrible. We could consider going after the 5s in that case instead. I think at the end of the day, we've determined that no matter what, it's not going to make much of a difference who we go for here, as long as we don't mess with these 2. So let's hit, I suppose, you. Oh, and we do, of course, need to hit others as well. Does actually complicate things. You are fine. And then we're going to leave, I think, we'll leave you 2. Have the same amount of power. Alright, so is it going to be more Necker Warriors? Yes, it is. And again, they'll spawn in more, I assume it's always going to be Neckers, but it's not going to matter if they don't have any room for them. So, And is Gascon still getting boosted even though we aren't technically moving these guys? I didn't notice that we should also set Throw on fire as soon as possible. Although, I do wonder if it is a good idea to set this Throw on fire at all, because then they'll have room to get more of those Necros out there, and that's not something we want to have happen. So it might actually be better for us to play you and set this row on fire. And use our leader ability to hit the 6 power units. So we know we have a couple of those. And it does get rid of one of those, wolves, which we don't really want to have happen, to tell you the truth. What is this? Have we seen the base school yet? Consume the highest unit from your graveyard and set your charge amount by its power. Damage an enemy by 1, and more charges it has, of course, more damage it can deal. This is going to be kind of tricky. I think, of course, our finisher, our last card we're going to want to have be the Lyrian Horn, so that way they don't have a way to spawn in additional Neckers after that or anything like that, so that's the one we want to save. I think we go with Reynard next, and then Gascon, and then Lyrian Horn. Let's go for this.
Her Majesty knows what she's doing.
And again, don't actually have any orders here besides if we wanted to move the Manticore Trophy, but that doesn't really matter. And we're gonna see if this fire actually backfires on us anymore, because we don't actually want it to destroy any of these wolves. Fortunately, it did not. We just wanted to deal damage without destroying it. Have we seen any of these rot fiends before? I feel like we have from a previous puzzle or something. Spawn a base copy of this unit. Damage all units in this row by 3 if we take it out. Oh. Okay, I'm not necessarily sure we're going to be able to pull that off. But now we play Gascon. And of course, we don't have a lot of points on the board here. They have a pretty significant lead. Is this Lyrian Horn enough? I'm not sure it's going to be. We'll have to see. And that was their last turn. And so it all comes down to the Horn. Will it be sufficient? I feel like the answer is perhaps not. We would like to have more units to get some more boosting on our side. Of course, we'll have a lot of damage for them. But we fall just short unless we take out any of the Rot Fiends, which I don't think we did. I think we came ever so close. If we had gotten rid of this one, it would have damaged all units in this row and it would have been enough. So we're 1 damage away from succeeding there. But I'm afraid, I mean, we can move the Manticore Trophy, but it's not going to do anything. Except, it does boost Gascon. But okay, that could have given us 1 more point, I suppose, if we had moved that and then played Reynard, so we could move it again. But still, of course, not enough. So we're going to lose. And, okay, so we are allowed to give it another shot here. But, oh man, I think, in that case, this may be the place where we have to wrap up here. So we've been going for a little while, but tough encounter, as we perhaps expected, especially because it seemed as though several of the cards that they had were, in some ways, counters, or at least potential counters to some of the cards in our deck. So a little devious in that sense, but I think we started to get a better sense later on as to how we could deliberately try to shut down their row flooding strategy. So we'll look next time to find a way to, well, of course, succeed in this one, and, well, we'll see if we can explore further in Aedirn. So thank you all for watching, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll catch you next time.